We finally made it out here. The flower guy, zone 6B. We are putting mulch down right now, and as you can see that it is not really broken down. It's been steaming a little bit, but it's not broken down. A lot of people would frown upon that because it pulls nitrogen out of the tuber itself. But where we have a lot of plastic down and it's coming up next year, we're going to try to mend that, and maybe hopefully it'll break down over the course of the winter. My Uncle Jeremy is out here with me, and we're cutting these tubers down, putting them about six inches above the ground. We're covering these with 4 to 6 inches of mulch. I don't know exactly where you live, but in the town where we live, you can get mulch by just asking the town for their scraps or for the wood chippings on the sides of the road. And if you're close by, they'll come and drop them off. I'm sure that's like that for a lot of you, but that's how we have gotten most of this over here. So now we have the rest of these behind us to do. We're not digging any of these up. As you can see, like I said, we're going to be covering them up. And last year was about an 80% succession rate of how many came up. And we're really cold here because right on the other side of Jeremy and on the other side of that wood line, as I've told everybody that have watched in the past, there is a creek, and it tends to stay about 5 to 10 degrees cooler. So that would probably put us at 6A for this microclimate in the area that we're at in this field. As we speak about the mulch behind me, what do you guys do with your beds? How do you put them to rest for the winter? Do you keep using them, put a greenhouse over them, or what do you do? I'd like to know in the comments below. What kind of amendments are you doing to your soil? Are you doing are you putting animals on them? Because at home, that's what I do, is I put the animals on top of the beds for the fertilize there. But here we are taking everything that you see on the dahlias right down there where Jeremy's got that little black wagon, and we're going to be making compost with that, hopefully in the near future. And I'm so glad that we have this tractor to use of Dr. Child's, because if we didn't, it's back-breaking work. I mean, how long would that take? I mean, that's a 75-foot section right there behind the tractor. How long would that take by hand and by back? Of course, we could still do that, and it's sometimes that it's needed to do, and everybody knows behind the camera here that it is very demanding as being a flower grower, and especially when you're growing hundreds of them, everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's very demanding. You can't just leave the flowers and think that they're just going to do okay. We all know that you have to either cut early if you're in commercial, like for the wholesaling, or cut late for the farmer's market when it's all the way open, or just cut. Doesn't matter when you cut, just cut it, because they have to be propagated to be coming back correctly. And on these beds, all the way through, there is a 12-inch on-center drip tape system that Jeremy is actually pulling up right now. Because they get ripped up pretty often, and they get stakes through them, and they just wear a lot. Of course, you can use it for a couple seasons, but as we're doing this, most of the time they just get so ripped up. We need to take the ends off of them. So this is the 5 rows of 200 foot that you can see. We had pulled out all the T-post of it, and then if we do a 180-degree spin here, you could see that we have kind of put these to rest. And we started on the mulch up there, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, I think 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 rows here of about 220 foot long of the dahlias. They have been all cut up, and the only thing left to do here is put mulch on them. Well, the problem is that we're on a time crunch. We're working indoors to try to get all of the plants transitioned from outdoor to indoor. And then we also have this that really needs to be put to bed, because we want about 4 to 6 inches of mulch on this so it does not freeze on us. If you have good drainage and a good protection, like the mulch itself, and then we're going to put a silage tarp on top of that, that should be enough substantial protection to last through spring, and then we'll just rub those off a little bit as we come down the line, and ready to go again for springtime. What do you think of everything?
I think it was really cold out here this morning.
What time did you get out here?
About 7.
How cold do you think it was?
It said 32 and 28 with the wind chill, but I felt like it was probably somewhere about 20 to 25.
It probably was, because like I was saying, there's the creek on the other side of this wood line, which causes it to be a little breezy. But there was a really hard frost this morning too. And I got the tubers up from the house on the hill, and I put them underneath of the crawl space, because that's where we store our tubers at.
And right in all this open area, it doesn't have any of the wood, so it's exposed to all the air. So it definitely was a lot chillier. But
yeah,
in the long run, it's worth it.
This field that we're working on, it was getting about 9 hours of sunlight during the summertime, so that's good enough. And then over at the house on the hill that I have there, I think we were getting around 6 hours of sunlight on those dahlias, and it was doing perfectly fine. They had a little more stretch to them, but what else do you need? You need longer stems for people to buy, so that worked out well.
I know where I think you or somebody else went the other day with a weed eater. Some of them didn't get cut through all the way.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal.
So Jeremy's going down through here and he's cutting just the tops of them so that when they come back next year, they come back pretty and they're all underneath of the ground so they don't get damaged by the cold weather or a frost or just even frozen ground at that point. But one of the things that Jeremy had pointed out is that I used a brush cutter on a weed eater, and it worked really well and it was fast, very efficient for me to just run down through here and cut them. But the problem is that it doesn't do a fine job like Jeremy's doing. It doesn't go to 2 to 3 inches and it just like shreds the tops of them. We're just seeing what's the best option for the efficiency of everything that we're doing. You know, like I said, the brush cutter of the weed eater works great and it's fast, but you know, that's probably for something that has some thinner stems. Some of the stems that we're pulling up right now are, you know, maybe 1 inch to 1.5 inches in thickness. And that's really hard when it just slices it right in half.
Yeah, I guess it's because the tubers are very fibrous. And
Yeah.
And you need a really sharp blade to cut through them.
And Jeremy had a great idea that, you know, we should take the byproduct and do something with it. So, do you have one of those around here?
They're over right next to the Kubota.
Okay. So he's got some dahlia stems here that are hollow. And what his idea is we're going to try to make some, what did you say?
Well, they're very similar to bamboo, I thought, and dried out. I feel like they do really well as far as wind chimes. And it might be interesting to some people, it may not. But I just thought, I mean, we're wasting it anyway, so give it a shot and see what it does.
Yeah, and so he's always thinking about something to do and something that's artistic and crafty. And I think that may work. It's like the bamboo he was saying. And how bamboo is, you know, it just chimes. And hopefully that would work with dahlias, because look at all these stems that we would have out here. If that's the case, I could go take those things to the farmer's market or something. Well, and at this time, we probably need to get back to work. So we're going to put the tractor back to work and try to cover up some of these rows because the weather is coming in. And I think we were getting some low 20s right now. Was it low 20s or low 30s?
It felt with the windshield, probably felt mid 20s.
Probably, yeah. Well, last night when I went home, it was 34.
I don't know. I didn't look last night, so.
And I live on the creek right down the road, and it was 34 last night, and it was the sun hadn't even went down yet. It's warming up now. We need to get some stuff done. It's all about teamwork, or we would have never got this far to this point quite yet. And we probably still have about 15 to 1,800 more feet to go. But we've got this covered up, and so that's little by little is how you're going to get there. There's Jeremy way down there. It's about a little over 200 foot. There's 2 rows covered up here, and we've raked it all out. We had the tractor, we brought it all in, but that took a total man hours for him and I, probably around 7 hours to do that. So 7 hours for 2 rows, a little over 200 foot, probably 220, so 440 foot at 7 hours for him and I. Altogether, I should say, for one person if you were going to do that. But I mean, we got it all covered up right through here. And then the next thing to do would be put a silage tarp on top of that. And what we're doing is we're going to recycle as much as we can. We'll use anything that we have just to cover it up. It's not the best, but also it's not the most expensive. You don't have to be expensive doing this. All you have to do is be able to make a profit doing it. It's all about teamwork, or we would have never got this far to this point quite yet. And we still probably have 200, 400, 600, 600, 8, 10, 12. We probably still have about 15 to 1,800 more feet to go, but we've got this covered up, and so that's little by little is how you're going to get there. One thing that we're developing right now is a website for people to be able to see what we're doing, to have a newsletter, to have some merchandise. We're actually designing a couple shirts that would pertain to the women as well as the men for the types of flowers that we're growing, and they're going to be some awesome shirts. Then also we're doing the emails where we're going to be sending out things with tubers and seeds and everything like that. It's just a trial right now is what we're running through, and thanks to everybody who had purchased the seeds, because that makes a difference of us starting our website up, and we really appreciate that. The next part to it is that we're trying to develop a online course for people who are willing and wanting to start a flower farm business, and basically that will be the entire business side of it and how we structure everything. And I think a lot of people can really relate to that and how you could profit in your first year. So be looking for something like that too, and let me know in the comments below what you think about that. Would you be able to take a course like that if I was to design something in that nature, or where would you be at on that? And what kind of shirts would you like? I mean, is it a sweatshirt? Is it the normal just t-shirt? We're just trying to get some merchandise out of there. And also the email marketing. We want to be able to send you the tubers and the seeds that we're doing, and just everything around the entire flower farm aspect, and give you a little bit of news that's happening every week or maybe every month, not to annoy you, just to send out. So for now, we finished that up, and that's just a little idea of what we do for mulching. But we have to be able to go ahead and jump on all of this, and we have some upcoming transitions happening in the flower farm where we need to be putting our effort elsewhere, and you'll be able to see that in the next video. Make sure that you're watching out for the future videos coming out, and hopefully this week we'll try to do a live as well.